And okay, so first off, I'd just like to say thank you very much for coming and for being a part of this meeting. It means a lot to have people like yourself and others to help me learn, as well as to help you learn, and we learn from each other as a result of that communication. And so I just think I put that out for you. So give yourself a pat on the back, Jan, from me, and away we go. So I just want to give you, so how familiar, question to you, Jan, is how much do you know about GitHub so far?
I think you could say perhaps I'm probably like going more to the intermediate level. So if there were 3 levels, like beginner, intermediate, and expert, I'm probably on the way to becoming intermediate. Probably. Because like I could make issues and so forth, and
yep. Okay, so you're familiar with navigating the GitHub interface, yes, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you're familiar with making issues?
Mm-hmm.
And okay, that's great. That's awesome. So I can skip right to the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna bump you up to like a level 7 boss to a level 56 freaking king of GitHub, or whatever these obnoxious titles of godly-like things that they put on them. Right. Okay. So I've gone ahead and I've made an example, because I don't want to do anything on here personally, because this is like our main development website repository, right? So I'm just going to, for specifics of this example or scenario, I'm using a test suite that's in the same structure as this. So there'll be some familiarities when I show here versus in the main C3 eth.github.io. So I'm just making that clear. And before we can go any step further to adding stuff, there's a really nice feature, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned in the first workshop I did ages ago, where you came in pretty late. So you must have just missed it, and I was screwing around with an editor. So now GitHub has an inbuilt text editor as part of every repository, and we can simply just access that via pressing the period key. And what the period key will do is load up the GitHub Web Editor and throw us into a workspace where we can now add, manipulate, or move files around, commit, and do all our work in the web browser, which is absolutely amazing. And as a result of that, I'm going to delete this because I was trying to get myself in the mind space beforehand. This is the GitHub Web Editor. Are you familiar with this at all, Jan?
Nope.
Right. So,
but I saw this in our last workshop.
Yeah, you probably remember it from our last workshop, but you've probably forgotten how to use it, if I'm not mistaken. But that's okay. We're going to basically get you up to speed and start pushing out some hot content on the Eastern Townhall website, which is what we want. And as you can see, we have this main area here, which is basically our main workspace view editing area, where we type and edit our files that we have here on the Explorer tab. And our Explorer tab is basically just is essentially a list view of our repository. So what this does is it takes all of this and it just puts it into that.
That's the website, right?
Yep, this is the test repository that I have up. So it's just like I said, it's in the same structure as the official Eastern Townhall website, but this is in an Explorer view. And we can navigate folders like assets and access files and have them preview here in the Windows tab. And we can have multiple different tabs open like you would Google Chrome or your web browser. And you can see that all the code with the relevant syntax highlighting comes up. And this is where we mainly do all our editing and our typing away. But you're not going to have to worry about any of this HTML stuff. That's not for you to be concerned about. You're only going to be writing content, which is what I want you to do, or what it is that we all want to do, if I'm not mistaken. And over here, we can see that we have another bar, which is basically all these symbols and stuff. So we can access the Explorer here, which is all our folders and all our files. You can search the repository. Say I want to find a particular folder. It will search that and then go through all the different matching for that, for a particular file that I might be looking for. So that one that came up like deploy, and you might go by file extension. And they're like, oh, sweet, I've got to deploy sh, stuff like that. Then there's the source control, which is where we'll do all our committing, our pushing, our pull requests if you want, and our staging our changes, stashing, everything GitHub activity related is done through the source control. And this is going to be very important later on, but I'll get to that when we get there. This run and debug, that's mainly just for testing and for compiling programs. You don't want to worry about that. Here is all our wonderful extensions page where we can install all these different tools and plugins that the wonderful Visual Studio Code community has developed for us. And that might include a bunch of different Visual Studio Code specific library plugins for Python and syntax highlighting for a bunch of different programming languages, extensions for Git, yada, 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 all that other stuff. Fortunately for us, we don't care about this because we're only ever focusing on YAML files or Markdown files, and that's pretty much it. Unless you want to take your skills a bit further and start being a whiz-bang Python wizard, by all means, Jan, you can go right ahead and wow me away. It's totally up to you. This is a code space. Yep, skip that. And here are our pull requests. And this is where all our pull requests are going to be basically that might have been opened by you, that might have been assigned to you. This is just a more compressed version of what it is that you see here in this page here. But for the sake of your skills and what it is I want you to do is not to really worry about the pull request, because in the source control, all you're ever going to be really doing is this pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling and committing, staging your changes and pushing files. Down here is your little PARTIS or your little account tab thing. And then there's the gear, your settings. So you can change the color theme. If you don't like this, I can change it to dark, or I can change the theme to something else. It's really a personal, subjective taste. Then you can change your file icon themes, product icons, blah, blah, the list goes on. And you can change around in more advanced settings if you're feeling a bit fancy. Yeah, so that's basically the editor in overview. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Another little thing I forgot to mention are these little icons up here. And as you can see, there's one that looks like a file with a plus. There's one that says new folder, and another one that says refresh Explorer. And exactly what the button title says, it creates a new file. And we can create as many new files as we like, excuse me, for as long as the machines allow us to, and as many folders. And if things are out of sync, or there's something might have not popped out because of the server lag, then you can just refresh the Explorer. And then there's like a nice little feature if you have a tree spaghetti of stuff, say, for example, this, and you're getting a bit lost, you can always just, for example, let's just open up a bunch of crap, and you're like, oh no, what was that file again? You just collapse all those trees, and then you just take it step by step. So it's a nice little cleanup thing here. Right, on to the next part of this small little workshop is the anatomy for making content to the website. And there are two distinctions here. The file that you want to make is always ever going to be a Markdown file. And I'm going to show you an example. As you can see here, there's the English and Norse. This is pulled directly from the template repository I have on the Eastern Townhall website. So not everything's going to be the same, but the process is going to be identical. And so if I go into, say, the blogs, into new, and then click on second post, you can see there's a lot of things here. First of all, there's this area here. And this is what we call front matter. It's basically just a slot, it's basically inserted YAML code to configure the page and what shows up on the website. And YAML stands for yet another markup language. And these variables here basically declare important attributes for your blog post or your documentation file, if you're adding to the document, or whatever folder that you're adding to that follows the structure. There is always going to be front matter, and you must always follow that structure in order for it to show up. Otherwise, the website will fail to compile and everything will break. So it's always important you have these 4 basic attributes. There are other ones which I'll go into later. But for now, you have the title, which is going to be the main title that shows up. I'll show you a visual. I'll try bring up the Eastern Townhall website and I'll give you a visual equivalence versus say the code and then what the output looks like. So if I go into say blog, and then I jump into the news, and then Eastern Hemisphere meeting Town 8. Obviously, it's not going to be the same, but your title here this is going to be your title. That's what's going to show up. Mm-hmm. And then your link title, preferably to be the same to avoid confusion, is going to show up on the side here to navigate. You also have a date, which is pretty self-explanatory, that shows up. And then you have a description, which is a small summary, which shows up in a light sort of font underneath the title to give sort of a brief synopsis over the blog or whatever content you're bringing in. And those are your 4 important attributes. And then everything below is all just Markdown. And you can just put as much Markdown as you want in here for as long as you can type until your fingers bleed. I do not care. You can put whatever you want in here, and I'll make that clear. How familiar are you with Markdown, Jan?
Quite familiar.
So you're quite familiar with it now?
Mm-hmm.
And you know the basic syntax such as links, italics, headers, and how to do all that other crazy whiz-bang stuff? Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome, because as a result of doing that, you've passed grade 5 Markdown, because as if there was ever any kind of levels to Markdown, it was always a pretty easy language to learn. And so awesome.
You
that's
said
great.
57.
50, yeah, why not? Just, yeah. Yes. Yes.
I'm regressing then.
Yeah, just you do your young. You do your thing, man. You do what you want, brother. There are also some interesting little things that we can do with Markdown, is that because this is being built with Hugo, there are some other little tricks that I have up my sleeve that you might not be necessarily aware of, because GitHub is only ever going to show you the Markdown syntax, but not all these other special little syntactical things that only Hugo will recognize. And Hugo is the main static site generator, which builds our website, compiles everything, and makes everything look pretty. And that's the test you have to pass, because if you don't do your post correctly, or have it and you don't correct your typos, then it's going to crash and fail, and Hugo's going to barf at you, and we don't want that. Okay, any questions?
How come I'm not seeing what I'm seeing here in our website? Is this just a test that you haven't published?
So like I said before, this repository is just a private repository that I've thrown up.
Okay.
You can't see it, only I can. Actually, no, it's public, so you can see it. Sorry, it's on my GitHub account under my repositories. And I'm simply only just navigating the contents of this. I'm not touching this main repository here. Right? So this main repository I don't want to fiddle with, because for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to be doing a bunch of weird random testy stuff that would just otherwise be redundant if I was doing it in the main repository, and I don't want to touch that. So for the sake of argument, like I said in the beginning, this is only purely just a testing local environment. This is a temporary repository. I'm going to delete it soon. It has the same layout, the same folders, and the same content, roughly, bear take it. As the Eastern Townhall, just a few minor little discrepancies. But the structure, and like I said, the structure and the process is exactly the same as I showed in here. The same rules apply.
Got it.
Got that?
So these things in green are just your how do you call it? Your instructions, right?
These ones here?
Uh-huh.
No. So this is just syntactic highlighting. This is Visual Studio Code just trying to distinguish between the markup language that is Markdown. So it shows you what kind of a block or a line that it is. So because it's got the greater than sign next to the text that says that this is a block quote. Oh God. So if I render it, I can do a quick render here. And you can see that it's rendering out the syntax here. And as you can see, this line 15 down to line 19 is a block quote. And this is what it looks like here.
Okay.
Yep. And there are links and strike throughs and whatnot and whatever. A bunch of different little minor things you might not be familiar with because you'd mostly just be doing blank plain text with the headers and maybe the occasional links I'm highlighting here. Yeah, and of course the bolds and italics, can't forget those are very important formatting tools for our very writing daily lives. Okay, and so with that out of the way, I'm going to show you how we go about adding content and stuff. So I'm going to quit out of this. I'm going to discard those changes because I want to have a clean slate. And here we go. So before you start anything, Jan, it is absolutely important and pivotal that you do not make changes into the main branch. All right, the main branch being this main trunk here, this main repository. And at the moment, we're in the scope of the main branch. And if I come down here, you'll see this blue GitHub button, and next to it, the name of the branch. And the main is basically left kept for when things have been checked, processed, and reviewed, that they then get merged into the main branch. Because the main branch is meant to say that everything's good, ready to go, and any changes that have been pushed into the main branch will then get pushed into the release website and then be pushed live. And the last thing we want to have happen is people just putting in a bunch of changes into the main branch and then, you know, without any review process, and then basically getting a lot of details lost, a bunch of rampant bugs or syntactical errors and typos that are causing the website to break and can't build. And I have to search through each and individual commit and have to basically try and revert the changes back to its previous state to when it was working before those changes were made. So it's very pivotal before you start any work that you create a new branch. And this branch, for instance, I'm going to name, so you can come down here and you can, like I said, the current branch that we're in, you can click on main and you can make a new branch. And we're going to call this one test branch one. Make sure to avoid spaces and use either underscore or the dashes. And I'm just going to hit enter. Why aren't you working? Oh, right. Sorry. No, okay. I need to create a new branch and then go test dash. No, wait. So the names of your branch should be relative to what it is that you're working on. So for this instance, let's treat this like a real world scenario. I'm going to put my username, Pardis Eidolon, and then it's going to be a content patch because we're adding or updating content. Oh, content patch, and the name of the content that we're patching. So there, if I look here and I check out there's 4 folders. And if I'm making changes to the docs, it would just be docs. Or if I'm making changes to community, it will be community and so forth. So we're just going to make a blog post. So it's going to be a blog patch to the content and the name. So it's a very specific format. And then you just go ahead and you press enter. And it's going to bring up with this little prompt that says, do you want to switch to the new branch? And yes, you do. Because this is going to be your main personal little working branch where you do all your changes and everything that you want to push up for your pull request. And in the future, if you have to go make changes, you can always come back to this branch for as long as the pull request and the branch is open, and make any further changes that have been requested upon you by any of the reviewers that have picked up things that you might have missed as a content contributor or developer or whatnot. So now that we switched over to our new branch, you can see that it says Partis Eilon content patch dash blog. That's awesome. That's where we want to be. And now we can start making changes. So first off, I'm going to go into content, and I'm going to select the language that I want to add content to. This is no different than navigating here in the main Eastern Townhall website. I'm just doing this for equivalence content. And in this sense, for you, maybe Jan, you might either do English, or you just might hit Indonesian and then use this as your main, sort of then choose what it is you want to add to. So, oh, I need that open. I'm going to go.
Jack.
Yeah.
Why did you create new branch? Why did you choose that option? Because there was also an option below it, which is create a new branch from. What's the difference between create a new, create new branch from?
Create new branch from, I'm not too sure. Oh, create new branch should be basically creating a branch from an already existing branch. So the default is main, which is the current state of the repository, which you then want to basically add onto.
So in the case of there's only one main branch, whatever my choice, create new branch or create new branch from, it's going to be still the same, right? Because we only have one main branch. Okay.
By default, when you create a new branch from, see how it says default? It's always going to default to main. So basically clicking new branch is always going to basically be no different than going new branch from and clicking on main. So it's better off to you just to only ever just create a new branch, and that's all you have to worry about. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Sweet. And with that out of the way, let's go make some mother clucking content. And so, like I said, where the most important folder you're only ever going to be concerned with, pardon me, it's just the content folder. You know, it says it right on the label. Who am I kidding? So you're just going to click on content, and then, like I said, click your language, whether that would be, I don't know if you speak Norse, Jan, you know, surprise me, or whether that's English. I mean, hey, I'll be a bit dumbstruck if you're pretending to speak English right now. So English, and then basically we're going to create a blog post. And as you can see here, this blog has a set of different folders here. And you'll notice that there's this _ index.md.
Yeah. Why is that? There's always index.md.
Yeah, so I'm going to go into that a little bit. So index.md is what brings the site into this section into scope. Say this is like your section here, or like the topic of what your content is about, like a category. So this category would be news, and then the topic under that category news would be the Eastern Hemisphere Town Hall. And that index folder, this index file is what makes this category in scope. Because if I got rid of this index.md file, this would no longer show up. Like it would just be invisible. No one would be able to see any of your content. So it's absolutely, it's important that you have an index file for every new category that you make, or for every new topic with its own subcategory. And I'll show you an example of that later on in the beginning, but for now, I'm going to go into news, and I'm going to go click up here on the new file from before. We've got the new file in a new folder, and I'm going to go ahead and just create a blank file, and I'm going to call this first post. dot, make sure you got the extension. Oh, sorry. No, we'll make this third post. And make sure
why did it show up red? Because you already had the first post, right?
Yeah, because I was basically duplicating a name, and that would have been really confusing. And you can't have the same name as an already existing name in the hierarchy in the folder. So I'm going to call this third post .md, which stands for Markdown. And then I'm going to hit enter, and lo and behold, a little green, it's been highlighted green, which signifies that we've now made a change on this branch that has been unstaged. And when I mean unstaged, it hasn't been committed or been published yet to the branch, but it's recognized that we've added a new file and we've made some kind of a change to the repository state. So from here,
how come there's no first post.md?
Beg your pardon?
How come there's no first post.md?
Because it's in a folder. It's in a folder here. I'm going to get into folders soon.
Okay.
And yeah, so like I said, if we didn't have index _ index, none of these blank markdown files that are in the scope of this folder would be in scope, and say that this category that has all these files, it just wouldn't show these posts in here. So you're always going to make sure, if you're only doing like a static file with no folders, and the folder that you're in that you're making a the folder that you're in that you're making a new file with that has an _ index, you can just name it whatever you want. So like I said back before, the structure of a markdown file has to have your YAML front matter in order for it to basically show up as well. So there's all these different little steps that you have to make sure that exist around. And so I've got some YAML template stuff that I've made. I'm going to copy it. I will put it into the Eastern Townhall C3 repository wiki for other people like yourself included to check out and use as basically a base template that you can just copy and paste into your Markdown content folder, content file. And this is basically what it will be like. And so we've got 5 attributes this time. We've got an author in here. That's another one here that you can add or remove. But here I've got title, link title, author, data description. And some of them have certain properties that you have to have. So a title has to have strings or characters, what I call strings, have to be enclosed by the double quote. Right? If you miss a quote, then it's going to fail. Make sure that the attributes title and the link title have words enclosed in double quotes, as well as the description. Whereas the author and the date, date is a number, so numbers don't have the little quotes, they're not strings. And the author is a bit of an exception because you can kind of get away, it's kind of been configured in a way where you don't have to have strings for that particular attribute. But for the case of title and link title and description, you must have the double quotes. So just emphasize that. So I'm going to call this third post. And I'm going to call the link title, sorry, the same as the title. And that's going to be third post as well. Oh, pardon. And in the author, I'm going to go ahead and basically, I'm going to be yarn. I'm feeling a bit yarn today. So I'm going to yarn turda. There we go. I may not sound like yarn. I may not look like yarn with the Tony Stark stash, but I think we can pass it as a yarn in behind the keyboard. So when were you born, Jan? That's not a personal question. 1935.
Yes. What?
1968.
68. Jeez.
1998.
Whatever.
You're a 90s generation kid. 1989. That seems like a good rounded number. So we're going to go on the 12th of the
so it has to be numbers.
Yep. So this is numbers, right? So we're doing a date in the YY in the year, month, day format. Sorry, Americans, we do it the right way, not the wrong way. So we're going to do the 12th, your 1989 12/12. That's your new birthday. You're the 12th of the 12th. And in the description, it's going to be something that's relevant to what it is you want the reader or whatever to basically know, a little introduction to your post. For this case, it's like, this is the third post.
Okay.
If you're doing like maybe like minutes or something, or for like an Eastern Townhall meeting, it might just be Eastern Town Hall meeting notes from blah blah kind of a thing. So, but for the sake of this, I'm going to do context, because context matters, and make sure that your descriptions are relevant to what it is that you're writing. So this is a third post from the Eastern Town Hall, Town Hall workshop tutorial. Cool. Right. Now we can basically go ahead and start writing our content. Our content can basically have anything from images. There's a specific piece of code for inserting images.
YouTube links.
But here's the trick with YouTube. There's this thing called Shortcodes in Hugo. And Hugo has this thing, basically can take shortcodes and render those into videos that embed directly into your post. And I'll show you an example of that. And so to invoke the seek command, we can go double curly bracket. I think it's the less than and greater than sign. I'm not sure. Yeah, so it's one of those, not two. And then we just type in YouTube space, and then we go find our YouTube link. But here's the thing, you don't paste the whole link in. So I'm basically going to say cat cucumber scare. Yes.
Yeah, so random.
Yes, this is why the internet was. This is why we have the internet, Jan. This is why it exists. We look at cats and we sit on our asses all day, watching their furry little butts get spooked by a cucumber.
So random, Jack. Caught me by surprise. This is a funny video.
So if you look at the URL, you can see that it's got your HTTPS followed by the the domain name.com, and then this thing here, which is what we're interested in. After the equal sign, we don't care anything else before here, right? We only care everything after as a suffix to the equals of the URL. So I can just go Control C and copy every character after
everything
the equal
after
sign
equal.
of the link.
Okay.
Right?
Why is that?
This is just the, I don't know what this is part of the URL is called. It's the watch ID, I think. And the watch ID is basically what gives YouTube, the YouTube shortcode, an identification to what the video is on their platform. So if I copy that, I go back and I paste that in, then we're done. That's it.
Nice.
And this renders an entire YouTube video that looks something like this. So we get this whole thing. Obviously, this is not what I put in here, but the code is pretty much identical to what it is I just did. And if I check it out on the actual website, if I go content, English, blog, news, first post, is it first post? Is it second post? There it is. Yeah, see, we've got our front matter. And if I look at the source code, you'll see that we have YouTube ID that. You don't even have to have the ID in here. You can just skip all that stuff. And you can just put in the watch.
After, okay.
The watch ID. Yep, and YouTube, this YouTube shortcode would take care of all that, and you can put as many videos in your content folder as you'd like, albeit as long as they're context appropriate and not cats jumping off the side of walls. Yeah, so that's just a YouTube shortcode there. I'm also going to add in a title, say third post. Huzzah! And I'm going to get some lorem ipsum because I want to make this, flesh this out. I'm going to write the some sort of Eastern Townhall manifesto or something. So I'm going to get this lorem ipsum and I'm going to post it in here. And lo and behold, we have some sort of a structure. And why the hell not? Let's add a shopping list.
Okay.
This is just an example of what you can do. Please don't do. Am I spelling shopping right? I can't spell English today. Milk, eggs, and cheese. And that's just what an unordered list might look like under a certain paragraph if you're trying to explain something. And this is obviously not word for word what a blog post would look like, but this is everything under here is just all Markdown, buddy. So you can put whatever you want in here. And so,
Jack, the bullets, are they the same? Is the last one like a circle or something? Am I seeing that right?
So for Markdown, it's just a dash. But what happens when it's rendered out, it comes out like a circle. So if I render it out, that's what it would look like. Okay. Oh, wait, hang on a minute. That's not right. Blast. Okay. Is there one with a list in here? Surely. I'll go back, find the index. But the syntax for, just trust me, the syntax for that is just a dash. You can do ordered lists as well. So you can do 1 followed by 2 followed by 3. So you can do that. There's nothing stopping you from that. Unordered lists are just the dash. Cool. Cool.
Regarding the dash, do we have to like put the initial symbols that you put? So you put like underscores, right, before the bullets here?
No, there's no special syntax or something afterwards. If you want to basically, if you do want to change the format of the text, you can make it bold, which is the 2 asterisks.
Okay, I get it. So
you basically can make it italic. You can make the word italic, but the list itself, the unordered list, if I just start from the beginning, is only ever just going to be the dash. Just that. And then you type in your words, right?
So what you did was just to give it spacing, right? Before
yeah, so
dash.
I give it spacing, I press dash and I press the space key, and then I type in Jacksk or something, you know? Does that make any sense?
Yep. So basically, yeah. So what we're doing right here, right now, what we're seeing right here, right now, is just a Markdown file.
Yeah, this is just source code. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And this is where all the magic happens, right? You're telling Markdown what to show. That's what it means by markup language, is that you've got certain parts of the language which basically invoke certain formatting or what the text is going to look like depending on the little symbols and operators that you use to make it look the way that it does, like the dash or like the hashtag or the greater than sign, or or the backticks, those little tick thingies for source code kind of a thing. So that kind of stuff, all these little different symbols that are configurable. So now that I got to bring my list back. Milk, hold up. Eggy.
Just press tab. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So if you want to start a list, you want to basically press tab. You don't have to. You can nest unordered lists. So I can do this. Geez, now it's a nested list, and I can keep doing that for as long as it will let me. Tacos, chicken, right? Never see here if it would load the damn thing. There, see, look, it's got the little circles on them now.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
And I've nested the list, and that's how you do lists. So now that we've gone ahead, we created a file. I'm going to show you how to do a new.
Sorry, Jack. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's fine.
Something just came up. When you press preview, why didn't the YouTube show up?
Because it's shortcode, right? Shortcode, this is specific to Hugo. This has nothing to do with Markdown. Hugo just reads the Markdown file, sees this as like a symbol, as some sort of like a piece of code that it recognizes, and then it spits out the iframe and everything else like that. It's basically just like a bucket. You can think of this as just as a bucket with a input that you put a piece of text into that then becomes the argument, and then basically renders this out. It'd be no different than putting HTML in. I can show you what it looks like. There's like the actual shortcode, a custom. I think. Oh no, okay. So it's native to Hugo, so I can't show you.
Because we would like before getting it published, like we would like to see it if that's the correct YouTube.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, in this, unless you want to use Codespaces, Codespaces cost money. And Codespaces are one such way of doing things in your browser. This will only take, this editor that I'm in now will only take you so far because it's only for editing text and files. That's all it's ever good for. But if you want to see your changes and see what your changes do, you're going to have to pull the whole repository down on your machine using Git and building it using Hugo. And that's a whole different can of worms.
Okay, I get it. So what I'm doing is it's not downloading. So what I'm doing here, what I will potentially doing is putting it, all the data that I've been done is going up into the cloud or something. So it's
so this is running a little micro virtual machine that spins up this. And this is where you in the cloud. Yep.
Okay. I get it. Okay.
So all your changes will be what it is that you change. Maybe when you become comfortable with doing this, Jan, we can then go on to actually building the website locally on your machine.
I like that, but yes, you mentioned when I'm comfortable, because I still have lots of questions.
That's perfectly okay. But like I said, I see that in the long term where you'll be level
79.
Sorry?
Level 79.
Yeah, you'll be level friggin' 79. You'll be like I don't know, have like 50,000 medals pinned to your chest. And you're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Kind of a thing. Let's go. So yeah, we'll get there. So we'll have your victory day. It's the journey, not the destination, Jan. So now that we've gone ahead and we've made ourselves comfortable with creating a file. So I'll just recap over what we've done. We've gone to our content folder, which is the only folder you're ever going to be concerned with and should be concerned with. Selected our language that we want to write our content for, and then what topic of the website or part of the website we want to add content to, whether that's the about page, the blog, the community. You'll mostly ever be concerned only with the blog and the docs. Those are your only two ones that you'll ever be concerned with. And maybe also the state pool one, but we won't kid ourselves yet. So we're going to blog, and then what I've done is I've selected a topic of the blog, being the news, and I've created a third post markdown. We've copied and pasted our YAML template, and we filled in the gaps. Jan has a new birthday. Description is of the third post. We've put in a Hugo shortcode, some random paragraph, and a nested unordered list. And, say you want to go a step further and you want to basically create a new category within a category. A bit like how we nested our list, you can think of milks. You can think of milk being the blog in this sense. And you can think of eggs as being the news and cheese as being releases. And whatever is inside of the cheese is everything and all the different posts that are relative to that topic. And when we create a new folder, we're creating another nested topic. So in this sense, it might be your mints or something, whatever. I don't really know what it is you people buy or what you eat. That's entirely up to you. But it's this idea of nesting, Jan. Do you get that?
I do.
Cool. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new folder.
Okay, got it.
And I'm going to give this folder a name. What do you want and we go like, what's the name of this new folder we want it to be? I'm going to say
nesting.
Nesting. That's a yes. That's yes, nesting. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go and create a new file inside of nesting. And remember how I said that the ._index.md is what makes makes the files within the folder that it's in. Oh God, sticky keys, I don't want that. The _index file makes other files that are in the same directory as the _index in scope of the website that people can click on. We want to basically do the same thing for nesting. So I'm going to go create a new file up here in the top right, in the top corner of the Explorer, click the file class button, and I'm going to go _index.markdown. And I'm going to, I'm just going to take some template YAML, and I'm going to paste it into the Markdown file. And this is all this file is ever going to be. It's essentially just going to be the navigator for this particular nesting folder, which is our new category within the news category in the blog category. And we're going to call it nesting. And albeit I'm going to name it the same as the title that we just gave it. And now we can go ahead and do the same thing that we did with the third post, but just basically adding new files to this folder. So it could be like a fourth post. Oh no, we'll call it a nested post. If you want to add, I don't know.
Question, Jack.
Yeah.
_index.md.
Yes.
Is that a template that when we when we type _.index, it obviously pops up, or do I have to copy that template from an existing _index.md file?
Well, you can copy an existing index.md file and make sure you name it accordingly to the new folder that you created. Or you can just do what I just did, which is create a brand new file and then basically just chuck in like just chuck in the template that I will have on the wiki on the Eastern Townhall website.
On the wiki, okay.
Yeah. So I'll make sure that the information is under this wiki here in the c3eth.github.io. It'll be on the side panel here that you can then just click on, and you can have a tab open in your web browser. You can just copy what I have open up over here at the moment. Okay. This stuff.
Oh, YAML. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have this index folder, and I have this new file called indexpost.md, and I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did beforehand, Jan, which was take the YAML file front matter, make sure I copy this. I can just copy from what I've already done and just go into the nested post, press Control V, and we can just name the title appropriately. We go nested post,
Question, Jack.
Yeah, we'll do Jack this time. He sounds like a good fella. Jack Turner. Hello, long lost cousin, or something. We'll just go Jack, and I'm going to be that guy who somehow managed to live for 400 years and still kicking and clacking keyboards today. Because, yeah, the computers were around in the 16th century, last I checked, right?
So they say. So they say.
Yeah.
Jack, question, Jack, before
yeah, sure,
you go further. Between does the sequencing matter between index and second post, third post, and so forth?
No, it's not much you can do about that anyway, because the Explorer is basically going to do that sequencing for you, or which file sits on top of each other. It's just the post and where the files are nested inside the folder it doesn't mean anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So this is a nested post demonstrating nesting. And from here on, we can now go ahead and write our Markdown. And like the last post beforehand, it's the same. It's just going typing stuff. All right, that was a bit intense. That was like, I don't know, 600,000 words per minute making gibberish. So I'm just going to go, I want lorem ipsum. I want some more lorem. Give me some lorem ipsum. I want all the facts. I want some generation lorem ipsum. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to paste it in there because it's boilerplate, means nothing. It's all gibberish anyway. But it makes it look like something's been written in craft of the art of writing. And so we've gone ahead and just created a brand new post and a nested post with a subcategory within the news folder. And I wish I could show you that. I could, but that would take a little bit of time to have to go through and pull down all the, actually, no, I could probably just show you. No, I won't today, no. And right, so with that all out of the way, you've added your content, we've made sure that we're in scope of the branch that we created. And we're like, okay, I'm happy with what I've done. I've triple checked, quadruple checked, fifth checked my content files that I've made. I made sure that there are no syntactical errors, making sure that the three little dots are in between these green, blue attributes.
Since you mentioned them, Jack,
yeah,
those three little dots, what are they?
They're basically just like an insert. They're basically just to say, okay, in between these three dots, it's going to be YAML. That's what it means, right?
It's going to be always YAML, or
this is only ever going to be YAML, and this has to be and must always be at the top of your file.
Okay.
Right? It can't be it can't be down here because it won't work, right?
Okay.
It can't be in between a paragraph. That's not going to work, right? Can't do that. Must always be at the top of your Markdown file. If it's not, then the site won't recognize it. It will crash, and the pages won't be generated. Cool.
Cool.
And so we're happy with what we've done. I'm going to close my tabs. Sweet. And now it's on to the source control. And this is where we do our commits and we publish our changes to our existing branch here. Yeah. So like I said, I get back to the source control later on in the workshop. Now's the time to level your 77 up to a wondrous 78. Yeah, boy. Experience points times 2. So with our source control, this is no different than like basically just for every change that you make, it's always important that the message that you put in for the change that you're going to do is relevant to the change that you're making. I cannot emphasize this enough, because you can't just put random crap in here that says it's like, oh, I made a change. Like that, that tells me nothing, right? As someone coming into the repository and looking at the commits or what's being committed into the repository or the branch that you're doing, this says nothing. So don't do it like you speak, write messages and commits like you write a description to something, and just a very, very tiny little description though. So make it sort of like a 30-line synopsis of all the work that you've done to get to this point here in source control. So what it is that we did was we made another, made a blog post, made a new blog post and a new subcategory. Full stop. And there's two ways of committing. The simple way and the quicker way is pressing the command shortcut key, Control Enter. But if you've forgotten that, you can always stage, go up to the 3 dots, and you can come down over to this tab Commit, and then you can click on Commit and Push. And currently it says there are some changes ready to go. What this basically means is that these changes haven't been staged yet, so you're not really committing anything at this stage, because you still need to basically, you need to click on these, like you click a checkbox to say that these are the files that I want to be committed into the branch. And most cases, you're just going to push all the changes. There are some circumstances where you might want to push one of the changes and forego the other ones before you make another significant change. But for the sake of this workshop, we're going to commit everything. I don't have to do anything else other than type in the message, come down to the up to the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner of the source control, commit, and then commit and push. And then GitHub is going to push all of those changes onto the Partis Eidolon content patch. And if we basically go to the repository, we'll see that it's now shown up our pull request with the name of our branch. And, you know, it's recognizing that, hey, we've made some changes, and do you want to go ahead and merge these changes? You don't have to, but it's generally good practice that you pull up a pull request straight away so that the pull request can basically check and see all of the changes that can be recorded along the review process, and that you and the reviewer can basically have a back and forth motion of the changes before it gets merged and slapped into the main site. So I'm going to go ahead and compare a pull request. If this doesn't show up, or you've forgotten to just do it, and you'll be meaning to do it later on in the day, and this little box doesn't show up anymore, you can simply just go over to the pull request tab, and then you can go new pull request, and then you can select the branch. In this case, it's our Partis Eidolon content patch blog, and you want to push this into the base, which is our main. And it's going to display all of the changes that we've made. Green is the new changes that we're adding, and negative, the red dashes are the ones that we're removing. In this sense, the negative here are just the spaces. So we've just removed spaces for the file index.md. And here we've added completely brand new files into the blog post blog file. So I'm going to go ahead, create a brand new pull request, and I'm going to give this again, like your GitHub messages, you want this to be sort of intuitive, descriptive, should I say. There's going to be a certain format that you should post for your pull request, like a certain name. There's a certain standard, which I will, as well as the templates for the YAML in the front matter, I will also put in the wiki for you guys to read, so you don't have to freak out. So you can simply just copy and paste it, and then orientate it around the context of the pull request that you're putting up. So I'm going to Control-C this template I have over here. This is just on another tab I have on another screen, and I'm going to paste it in here. And so in this in this sense, it's a content enhancement because we're adding a new page or updating a new page. It's in English, so I'm going to go the shorthand for English. It's on the blog folder, and the short description of what it is that we've done, kind of a thing. So what it would say, new blog posts, because we've added more posts in English. And here in the body is what you would do, maybe all the descriptive. So created blog post, new blog, you might do, this is all Markdown, and this is all very familiar to what you might be when writing an issue, by the way. This is no different. The only difference here is that we're merging into the main branch should it get approved and reviewed. So new blog posts. Yep. And then I'm going to go down and write a descriptive change. Added a new a new post for the blog and created a new subcategory.
But that's what you're doing right now is if we're doing a pull request in GitHub, right? It's not in the period one. What do you call the period?
The period one. Not sure.
The browser one.
Oh yeah, the browser. This is different. Yeah, like I said, this pull request part in the browser is a little bit too confusing. It also
I actually enjoy the browser better, to be honest. But what you're showing, what you just showed, is if we're doing the process of committing and pushing our change through GitHub, right?
Yes.
Okay.
For some reason, the pull request editor doesn't work. Like I can't select what branch I want to put in for some reason. Like I don't know why. Like these just remain blank, and then when I go to put in my title and my description, it's not going to work. So just for the sake of until they fix this, because GitHub has crashed over the past couple of days, so that might have something to do with it. I don't know. Just a bit laggy. So I'm just going to say, for now, do this on this page here, because it's important that you also get the reviewers, the assignees, and all the different labels and stuff that you can click on. And so with all this description stuff out of the way, I'm going to go ahead, create a pull request. And at this part here, this is where you add reviewers. I'm going to assign myself as an assignee. You, of course, being Jan, would assign yourself, or whoever else has also contributed to your branch, because multiple people can take the same branch and add to it as well. I'm also going to, in this sense, it will be a label of, say, a enhancement, and a project would be alongside here where you would do these t-shirt sizes and how long it took you to do. Also accounting for the changes that you might have to make when there's a review process involved and it's been hit up by a pending review request. That you as a you as an assignee has to fix. I can show you a real world example of that. So I'm just going to transition over into the Eastern Townhall c3eth.github.io repository where all the pull requests are. And like here, for instance, me has actually put up a pull request for Catalyst TV, and she's gone ahead and marked me the reviewer, and these are all their changes. And here
nice.
are all the different changes that I've made or requested that she make, right? So it's important here that, you know, if you ever get in this situation, like a typo here, for instance, she made a, she forgot to put in the greater than sign. So she'll have to go back, edit the page, make sure to put that greater than sign in, and then basically come back and say, yep, that's awesome. And then I basically approve it. And then as a result, you move on to the next task. So you can think of these as just tiny little tasks that come as a result of the peer review issue process. And as you can see here, this is more or less what the sidebar will look like. You're familiar with this with your issues. So I'm more or less only ever emphasizing that you do this stuff. For us, it was basically if we're in this context of the Eastern Townhall website repository, we would choose the language. So if you're doing Indonesian, it would be you click on the Indonesian one, and then you scroll all the way up, and then you say content enhancement. And then for the projects, we wouldn't choose Catalyst TV. Oh, sorry. Let's go back. We would choose the website improvements, but the fields are exactly the same. If we click on this little drop-down arrow, it will drop down the same size. So our t-shirt sizes, and then the directly responsible individual in this sense might be, Jan Mitran. We can just put an @ in her GitHub handle. MI Mitran. 040.
Okay.
Cool. And so as a result, that's what it would look like. This process would be identical. The only thing here on this thing that I've done for our workshop is that I'm missing the labels and reviewers because I'm not doing it in the main repository. That's the only difference. But that's not to say that the process is pretty much identical. And so,
yeah, but to be honest, I don't enjoy the user interface of GitHub. It's very confusing. I really like the period interface. What do you call it? Period?
It's the text editor.
Yeah, text editor.
The web editor. Yeah. But there's only so far. It's only so far you can go with that, Jan. Like I said, the web text editor is only ever good for manipulating, creating, and editing, creating files on your repository if you're going to make new files to it. Whether that's source code, Markdown files, READMEs, new folder structures in the form of a new branch that you then push up for a pull request. You have to just go through this whole space. The more you do it, the more you're going to get used to it. Trust me, it gets a lot more bearable. This personally is not bad. If it's confusing now, it's going to be less so when you start making content and start having a discourse between the content that you're making and the reviewer. So typically we choose a reviewer like myself, and I would go ahead and approve it like I have in another example on the Eastern Townhall website repository, like I've gotten Andre to do. See how I've made Andre my reviewer. I made a new changelog and everything else, like a new dry run YAML for the action workflows, which is a bot, which basically does something like this. And it basically, every pull request that you make, you're going to see this random comment pop up. And what this comment does is more or less just, it does a dry run. So it basically takes the content that you've done, that you've made, and then it basically goes ahead and builds the site as if it would be built on the real release site, and then spits out a log and the outcome. And if it's failed, then there's obviously something on your side or the assignee's side that's screwed up. And it's meant to tell me whether or not that the page, that the sites will build or the site won't build before pushing it into the main release. And if I scroll on down, you'll be able to see that Andre has gone and merged and I've merged it, but it has basically reviewed it and basically give me the big green tick as if you would on this file here, if I were to review the changes, and then there'll be some options that say approve or comment. But you can always, if you're reviewing here, but you can always press a little plus sign and then comment on a very specific line of code if you recognize a little discrepancy or a screw up in the file that you're checking out. So that's the review process. That's what happens when you go through this whole PR sort of review. And once you've passed the big green tick and everything's kosher, then basically what I do is you as the assignee can go ahead and confirm the merge. You go click on confirm merge, huzzah, and then you go ahead and delete the branch because you don't need that anymore. Especially for if you're going to basically, through that, learning through that repetition to go and create a branch, add the content, commit the files and changes to the branch, pull request the branch, and then merge it, delete. And then basically from here, it's rinse, recycle, repeat. And that's it.
Okay. Two
Any questions?
yes. Two big questions? No. The initial GitHub page where everything starts is the C3ETH website, right? Sorry, it's the C3ETH, and how do I say this? So it's the C3ETH. What's this thing? How do you say it in English? This slash. There we go. C3ETH/C3ETH website. The initial GitHub where I press the period. Okay, so this is where I press the period, right?
Yeah. So
C3ETH/
you're in this code area. You have to be in scope of the repository that you want to be in, right? Follow me?
Yep.
And then you just press the period key.
Okay.
And
awesome.
then it loads up a web editor.
Huzzah.
And then you're all up in here and you're like, hell yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is where it's happening. Pimp my freaking web browser, bro. So you got like your you got your diamond rings and so yeah, that's how you access the web browser. You can do it through here. You just make sure that I think it doesn't matter wherever you are in the website, in the repository, sorry. So I could be, I don't know, in the discussions for all I care, and I can still press the, I can't. So you have to be in the code tab. And you must and only ever be in the code tab for order the period key to work.
Okay.
Web editor to show up with the period key. Yeah.
Okay. Second question. If we go to our website, in the top right, that's correct. You have these options of editing the page and so forth and so forth. So I'm assuming that you put it up there. So it's like if you've created a system where it's easy to update this website through those links. Can we also go through those links that you've provided in the website?
Can you maybe rephrase the question again? You said editing the website links.
That's correct. So if we were to open easterntownhall.com.
Right, so is it this one here?
That is correct. So at the top right.
Yep.
So if we were to press blog.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. That's what I meant. Edit this page, create child page, and so forth and so forth. I assume you created this so anyone can also contribute easily.
Yeah, so you can go edit this page. Basically, it brings you to the main page that you can edit. But there's another way of editing. You can edit directly through directly on the website itself.
Interesting.
But it's kind of like, if you're not careful, you can commit directly to the main branch. And like I said, if you're not doing it in a working branch that you're working from, you can screw up the whole website. You know, I wouldn't even know what would happen, because like people would have just added changes and changes. So I think for the sake of editing stuff fluidly with a certain pipeline is to go through that web editor. And if you want to basically make any kind of changes, you totally can. But this doesn't mean that you can create sort of stuff here. Like, it does it all for you. It's got the template and stuff for it. So that doesn't mean that you can't. I might figure out and change that a little bit. But yeah, I guess that whole long convoluted process has been basically condensed into this one button that you just pointed out that I didn't even realize existed. So
with that said, with what you said, do we need to take that out? Do we need to take that out of the website? Because I understand that
no,
people
I don't
mess
think
it up.
I don't think we do. Like, this is actually probably another easier way, just adding blog posts. Like, if you want to go ahead and just do it that way, by all means. But if you want to feel like a level 78 boss, Jan, then you need to get on that level of the web text.
No, but the thing is, Jack, if you go down,
Yeah.
go down in this page, there's this commit directly to the main branch.
Yeah.
Right.
Just don't touch that. Don't even think about having that selected.
That's
Just
true. But what if someone comes by and just wants the to make you have a bad day? Someone randomly does that. He puts random things and
Yeah.
he press commits.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't have that permission, because I've got permission settings to stop crap like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if he does, I'll pull a Liam Neeson on his ass. I'll be like the Taken. I'll be like, I don't know who you are, but I will find you and I will end you.
Another question, Jack.
Yeah,
Can we go
it.
back
Yeah,
to the website?
sorry, can you repeat the beginning again? I didn't catch it.
Can we go back to the website?
Ah, yeah, sure, yeah. Yep.
I forgot. What's RSS and the signal thing? What is that?
RSS. RSS is this.
My God.
So this is
Yep, RSS is basically is a form of like actually I don't know what RSS is. No, oh, it's all XML. That's what it is. Yeah, sorry. That's basically just an XML file of everything basically in scope of this website, this whole website, basically.
Okay.
Page,
so this
actually,
is
should I
the
say.
HTML, right?
No, this is XML. It's different. This is not HTML.
Okay.
But don't worry about that. That's only ever useful for stuff.
The thing is, it's there, Jack. If I see things there, I tend to press them. You know, what's this? What's this?
Well,
What's
it's
this?
not like it's going to damage or blow up anything. It just brings you to another tab, generating some XML, and putting the whole all the posts and stuff like that we have in our Catalyst documentation and stuff. Basically, all the content is condensed down into this whole XML file. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. One last question from me, Jack. I tagged you a while back, and I noticed something. I don't know if you've corrected it, but I mentioned to you. Where was it? Jeez.
I'm just before I go any further, I'm just going to stop the recording, by the way.
Oh, sure.
Stop share.